happens if you're heavily involved in voodoo and one day you just decide, you know what? I don't want to be involved with all these spirits and demons and laws anymore. I want out. I'm just going to burn everything, get baptized, and move on with my life. Do you think you ever fully move on? This is my grandmother's story. So you are on my channel. This is Alien's channel, okay? Welcome. Welcome. I don't have an intro. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, okay? If this is your first story time and you're interested, please go ahead and leave a subscribe. If this is your first story time and you're interested, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as I will be dropping lots and lots and lots. I can't even get this intro together for some reason, so let's just get straight into the story time, okay? Bet. So like I mentioned before, this is my grandmother's story. I started talking a little bit about her on TikTok, which I know a lot of you guys came from TikTok onto my YouTube channel. So this is just a continuation of her journey. So as I mentioned on TikTok, or if you haven't seen those videos, just go ahead on my TikTok and go through the playlist. It all should be there. But yes, so my grandmother was actually very, very, very involved in voodoo. Like, she was a voodoo priestess, so much so that she used to get mounted by spirits, by lois. She worked with different lois like Gide, sorry, I have the notes. Let me not butcher anything. Yes, so one of the spirits that she worked with was Cousin Zakamakut, and she also worked with Gede and Urzeli Dontor. Boom. So when she used to get mounted by those spirits, as I also described on my TikTok page, she just had a different appetite, okay? These spirits, when they come, when they enter your body, what it is that they want to perform and what it is that they want to do doesn't require what that person would normally do, right? Because obviously they're under... Somebody told me this is not the correct term, but just for lack of better terms, I'm going to say possession, right? Okay. So my grandmother, she had like a long time where she was practicing voodoo. She was pretty deep in this, okay? She helped people with multiple issues, whether it be with healing, whether it be with medicine, whether it be with revenge, whatever it was that you needed, you could come to her and she would help you. And she also did her fair share of love spells and, you know, return to cinder spells. Like, she was pretty much very much so involved up until she decided, for whatever reason, that she wanted to be Christian and that she wanted to leave that life behind and move on with her life and be with my grandfather. So she went on, and everything that she had, her shrine or her altar, the room that she dedicated to voodoo, she set it all on fire. She burned all her books. She burned all her spells. Everything that she knew, everything that she had, she burnt all of it, and then went and got baptized. So there was never any formal goodbyes between her and those spirits. It was basically very much so a cold turkey type of turn around and move on. Now, while a lot of people might agree that, you know, Jesus saves all, Jesus saves, and this is the best way to do it, going cold turkey, I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree, because while they did allow her to have peace, I mean, she would have dreams like after the fact of, you know, the demons or the spirits that she used to work with. Like, she used to have dreams, but she knew, like, obviously she just left this lifestyle behind. It's going to haunt her for a little bit before it doesn't anymore, right? And she was right. It finally got to a point where it didn't haunt her at all. But when she was close to death, all of those spirits made a return. And honey, when they came back, they weren't exactly happy, okay? I don't know for exactly how long it was until from when she cut off magic, she cut off voodoo, until the time that she was about to pass away. I don't know how many years in between that might have been. I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe 20, 30 years in between that. Well, they all came back. But they all came back with different demands. Well, they came back angry because there was this one particular spirit that she was the one who manifested. You know what I mean? One of the demons that she worked with was one of her spirits that she manifested. And so the spirit would call her mom. And so when they all came back, this spirit would come forward and tell her, all grown up now, yes, she had a freaking spirit that she managed to make, or she managed to actually, I don't know how this works, but it was her spirit, and this spirit or this entity, but they called her demon, they called this spirit a demon, would call my grandmother mom. So at the time that she discarded of this spirit, it was a younger spirit, But at the time that she was dying and they all came back, the spirit had aged some. So the spirit came forward and told her, you know, while she was on her deathbed or whatever, while she was freaking out to the outside world and none of us could see what she was dealing with, she was actually dealing with those spirits that she had discarded some however odd years ago. So the spirit would come forward to her and tell her, Mom, why would you abandon me? You know, like you sent, like basically we were, when you did what you didn't set us free. You didn't deliver us. You basically put us in a void. We have been stuck in this void for 40 or however odd something years that you've put us away for. We are not able to roam free. And mind you, some of those spirits, Kuzen Zakamakut, and I think some other spirits that she did some dealings with. I'm not necessarily talking about the lois. I'm talking about the spirits. So Gede, Erzili are lois, right? And they are very different from Kuzen Zakamakut and the other spirits or entities or jobs or demons that my grandmother used to have with her or on her. So basically, like they choose right now. The spirits came back and they told her that you have basically put us in a void. We haven't been able to go anywhere. We haven't been able to escape. We're with you. We haven't been able to bother you. However, now the veil is thin. It's really unlifting. So we are back. And you are the only one who can set us free. We have to be set free and you have to be the one to do it. There is a certain step. There are certain rituals that you have to take in order to get rid of spirits or entities. Like you have to discard of them properly. Okay, there has to be there has to be closure and there has to be proper closure. So my grandmother was really, really resistant to that fact. And well, they said that, well, if you do not get rid of us or if you do not release us properly or the right way, we will keep you alive, but as dead as possible for as long as possible. You will be very, very miserable and you just won't die. You are ready to die and we see that you're ready to die, but we just won't let you go, because for as long as you have a single breath in your body, you will take us and you will release us. So part of the ritual that they were asking my grandmother to do was the land that she was able to conjure those spirits. They were asking her to return to that land, and she had to lay down like a white sheet or something like that. She had to lay on top of the white sheets and then say this prayer and then call out each of their names and then say she releases them and all of this and all of that, and then lay, and she had to do it at I think sunrise or sundown. I don't remember which one. And she would lay there and eventually each spirit would get released and she would be able to pass. Basically, that would be the end for her. And my grandmother very much so refused to do that. So in a lot of discourse that they used to have, my grandmother winded up having a stroke, which was caused by those spirits, because my grandmother was so combative that she tried to actually pray them away. And if you know anything about those spirits, and again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to scare you Christians, but prayer can only keep them away for so long, okay? Jesus can only save you for so long. So, yeah, she was calling for Jesus, but what winded up happening, she winded up pissing them off and they gave her a stroke. And with that stroke, all she could do was listen. She was not able to speak any longer. Her tongue was very, very heavy and she just wasn't able to communicate. So it was just her, mute, and those demons and those spirits. So yeah, they were torturing her for a lot. And we're gonna say like a couple days after the stroke, one of her spirits were able to then repossess her body after so many years. And they repossessed her body, and everybody came back to see my grandmother standing, walking like there was nothing absolutely wrong with her. And basically she was like, I'm leaving. And she set out to like walk out of the yard, and it took everybody in the family to like say, no, you cannot, because obviously they knew it wasn't my grandmother, right? They knew it was a loa, it was a spirit. So it took literally all of the members in that yard to come together to hold my grandmother down, because they weren't allowing whatever loa to take her wherever the fuck and have her die, and nobody knows where her body is or anything like that. So everybody that was at the yard literally held her down, to which I guess that spirit eventually gave up and exited her body. But if you thought that that was it and that those spirits were not going to have their ways, well, you got another thing coming. Because what ended up happening was, after they took over her body, her physical body could only take so much, because a possession is actually a really like physically trying thing. Like after people get mounted, they wake up very tired. Like it's a very physically trying thing. And because she was already old and she was already dying, that possession, that final possession that she went through, really took her physical body like to the next level of weakness. So they weren't able to do the work through her anymore. So the day that she was going to die, the day that she needed to die, and through it all, my grandmother remained faithful in the fact that she would never waver and that she would never get rid of them. And at this point, the spirits are like, yeah, we really have to do what we have to do, and we understand that you are selfish and you are stubborn, but we have to be released and you have to die peacefully. And at this point, and I want you guys to understand that the spirits, the demons that came back and all the hauntings that they were doing, yes, the stroke did hurt my grandma, but ultimately they were doing this to deliver her soul. They were doing this to deliver her spirit, because she could not die with them. She would, like, her entire spirit would roam here. Both those spirits, my grandmother and all of those spirits, would be stuck in this realm, in this void, and she would never be able to move on. So they were actually, in a weird way, doing her a solid. So the day that her body got so weak that it might shut down, but she would wind up being in a coma, the spirits made a very, very fast decision that they went to her youngest son, who is my dad's youngest brother. So they went to him, and he has never in his life caught a loa, a spirit, or anything in his life. And at this point, he was already well into his 30s, okay? And yes, like I said, this man never had an experience with loa or anything. He just knew of voodoo because obviously his mother practiced it, but he wasn't in that lifestyle at all. And well, one day, the day that my grandmother passed away, early during sunrise, this man that never had a loa in his day before in his life before got mounted. And when he got mounted, they just saw my father's brother literally just running straight to the yard. Like he ran straight to the yard. He didn't greet anybody. He didn't talk to anybody. And he just ran straight into my grandmother's bedroom where she was laying. And he picked up my grandmother, and he was holding her and just ran out the yard. And at that point, people who were trying to communicate with my dad's brother were trying to like get answers out of him, and he wasn't saying anything. He literally was so like laser focused that they knew, okay, there was something on him. There's something with him right now. He ran through the house, like I said, ran through my grandmother's room, grabbed my grandmother's dying body, and literally ran all the way to the other side of Haiti. That would have took at least 5 hours by foot to get to. Well, my dad's brother managed to do that while he was holding my grandmother's dying body in his arm. He ran all of that way and made it across that town with my grandmother in his arms. And when he finally got there to the other side, he laid my grandmother's body in the doorway. My uncle laid her body down. He did in the doorstep. He did a ritual. He had Florida water. He had a bunch of herbs. He had a bunch of songs. He had a bunch of spells that he was doing. He laid down like a white rag. He moved her from the doorstep now to the yard to release some other spirits. And when he finally did that, he sat there next to my grandmother held her hands until she passed away. Now, you could think that that is her son, that was there to help her during her passing. No, it wasn't her son. It was the same spirits that she was shunning away, that she was pushing away, that actually allowed her to have a peaceful death. So, yes. So after that particular spirit that took over my uncle came and took my grandmother to the other side and did the ritual and released those spirits. Now my grandmother was ready to die or to pass away peacefully. She was ready to, I guess, step to the other side. To which, with the loss still being with my uncle sat beside my grandmother. The loss sat beside my grandmother and held her hands until she passed away. And that's when she passed. And my uncle had this law. My uncle was under this law's possession for 3 days. And I believe it was Cousin Zakamakut that took over my uncle. So Cousin Zakamakut was Cousin Zakamakut mounted my uncle for 3 whole days. So for 3 days, my uncle had no recollection of what the fuck he did. He had no recollection of just running to the house, grabbing up my grandmother, running to the other side of Haiti with her in his arms, laying her down, doing this ritual, and actually sending her off to her death. He had no idea. He didn't remember it. He literally woke up 3 days later in the middle of nowhere and was very, very, very confused, to say the least. So he went back down to the Port-au-Prince. He went back down to the family, and the family told him, like, yo, are you okay? Like, you came back. Like, what happened to Tante? That was my grandmother's name. What happened to her? Like, what did you do? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. And then I guess through everybody going up, they saw that when they went back to that place where the law laid my grandmother down, they all went back there and saw that they had nicely laid her body down, and they had nicely dug a grave and everything for her, and she was buried in that land very nicely. So yeah, that's my grandmother's story, and that's how she was able to pass away. And funny thing is, I feel like I am a weird exact descendant of my grandmother because we look exactly alike. I have all of her features, like all the features that you guys compliment me on are all my grandmother's, like the cheekbones, like the eyes, the chinky eyes, the cheekbones, even down to my skin complexion. It was all my grandmother. Okay, so even though I don't feel much of a connection with her, or after she died, I spent a long time running away from that identity of myself. I do very much so feel like I am another version of her, in that she's always there for me, and she's one strong form of protection that I have in my life. So I do want to take this video, and if my grandmother's spirit ever felt unappreciated by me or unloved by me, then I hope she takes this video as I'm telling your story, Grandma, because you mattered, and you mattered to me. And also kind of like a weird apology that I ran away from who she was for so long, because she is me and I am her. So thank you guys so much for watching this story time. If you guys enjoyed it, or if you guys want more spooky, mysterious, creepy stories like this, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a like and leave a comment. Those are really, really, really helpful. I'm trying to get to 4,000 watch hours. I'm only at 1,000, so I just have to do that, whatever I did, 3 times over, and then I'll get to monetization. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys are my abducted humans. Like, I love each and every single last one of you guys. Like, you guys don't understand. This community that we've built means the absolute world to me. If this is your first time coming across my page, in order to become a part of the abducted humans, you'd have to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And after you subscribe to my YouTube channel, go ahead and go over to YouTube and look up Rebecca Journey or Alien, and I will pop up, because I have a playlist of 70 plus stories of creepy stories, okay? A playlist of 70 plus creepy stories. Are you kidding me? You guys should literally never run out of content. But some of you guys have been there with me from the very beginning, so you guys have literally watched since I first started posting until now. So you guys are just literally waiting for me to post new content. And for those of y'all, the OGs, I will always be posting new content for you guys. I will always be posting bait for you guys. And also, thank you guys for submitting your stories. If you have a story that you want to submit, you can submit it at submitalienstories@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much. I love you. I love you so much, my abducted humans. And I cannot wait. Also, be on the lookout for merch.